Here we are once again with our stick, noting that what I'm calling the top end of the stick is the part that has the red tape on it. We're going to be grabbing the stick in what I call the 3/4 grab, 2/3 of the stick up top towards the tape, 1/3 of the stick down below on the other side. We're grabbing it with our right hand, palm down, grabbing the other side of the stick, palm up towards the tip or tape of the stick. What we're going to do now is learn how to rotate the stick. It's going to go this way over the top of our hand, over the back of our hand, which is a little bit uncomfortable because, of course, we have to let go of the stick to do that. And then as it continues to rotate, we're going to catch it on the other end. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a fancy trick, but it's also very utilitarian in some of the things that we're going to do later, such as flipping the stick. Noting that if you've flipped something like a juggling pin, how you would normally do that is you would just take the handle and you just flip it upwards with your wrist. However, when you have a stick like this, because of the balance being more towards the middle of it, flipping it like a juggling pin doesn't give you the proper torque to really spin it the way you would like. What does tend to give you the proper torque is spinning it over your wrist and then using it and pinching between your thumb and your hand to flip it up. Kind of like if you're in a marching band, those people that have the batons, they flip it up in that kind of way. They flip it around and then flip it up in the air. Noting that a baton, it seems to me, is basically weighted so that you have it as thin as you can in the middle, so you have as most amount of dexterity of what you can do with it in that part of your hand, including spinning it around your fingers as you would with a pencil, but still having the weights on the ends so it has enough weight to spin nicely, and you can throw it up in the air and it's going to basically come back down without getting blown in the wind. With a stick, we can't have it quite that thin, right? We can't spin it around with our fingers, but it also doesn't have the same weight structure as a juggling pin designed for us to throw it up like you would a juggling pin, and therefore we're kind of in the middle here. We want to flip it around and then tweak it, giving us more torque, and wrapping it around your wrist is perfect for doing that. So it's a good skill to kind of learn. It's kind of fun to do once you get it. So we're going to grab it here. Notice there's my right hand. Now this time I'm just going to guide it around with my other hand. This is, of course, normally where I would let go with my left hand and let it kind of just spin around, let the gravity take it around the back of my hand by basically pushing this hand in this way a little bit so that it'll lead the stick along its path. But right now I'm just going to grab it all the way around. It's going to go around the back of the hand like that and see what's naturally going to happen. It's going to end up on this side of the hand. Notice where I'm grabbing on the stick now. Now my right hand is towards the top or the tip or this tape, and I'm rotating it all around until my hand is no longer on a palm down, but a palm up, and then I'm going to stop it with my other hand. Note that you don't have to stop it with your other hand. You could do this with just one hand, and I do recommend, and we will do practicing it multiple different ways with one hand and then pushing it with the other hand. But you'll note what we have here, we've ended up with the opposite grip that we had before. We started with a palm down on the right hand, palm up on the left hand. The tip of the stick was on the other side, right? So now there's two things I can do from this position. I can go back the other way, flipping the stick so it's rotating in the opposite direction, going over the back of the hand. I'm going to rotate my hand so it's palm down, and then the stick's going to go over the top, taking us back to the original position. But realize that you could do the opposite. I could say, well, now let me switch to my left hand as it being the hand that I'm going to rotate the stick over, pushing up this way. So the stick's going to go this way over the palm, over the back of this hand, which is an exercise we'll do later. So right now we're just looking at the right hand. I followed it around this way, and now I'm just going to rotate it back around the other way. So now I'm concentrating on the right hand over here, my right hand, and we're bringing it back around. Notice that I put my palm down before it kind of wrapped over the top again. That's what's naturally going to happen typically when I do this with just the centrifugal force as opposed to grabbing it with my other hand. So there it is again, bringing it across, and then I'm in the opposite position. Tip of the stick is on the other side, and then I'm just going to flip it around back the other way. Okay. Now I'm just going to flip it. Now notice I'm giving it a little flip with the other hand, right? So I have it this way. I could tap it down, and then when I'm here, I can tap it back up with this hand, flipping it back over on this side. I don't have to do that because I have enough torque to just spin it on this hand, but that can give me a little bit of a push so that it'll go a little bit faster, and that gives you some rhythm. I'm exaggerating by having my hand go way up here and then way down here. You just need it to go up far enough so it doesn't get hit by the stick when it's spinning around, which you will hit it sometimes when you're learning because you get hit with the stick if you're going to spin a stick around. That's what happens. That's why we have a stick that's possibly not too heavy. Now I'm just doing it just with the torque of my hand, right? Just the force of the hand, noting that's useful to do because you can feel the torque, the different weight of the stick as you're grabbing on the 3/4 grip up top towards the tape versus towards the bottom. So notice you're ending up on a 3/4 grip this way towards the tape, and then a 3/4 grip this way towards the handle, basically, as you flip it over your wrist. And as you get good at this, now I'm just tapping it, doing just the same thing with a bit of a tap. And then, of course, you can get into a groove with it. You can move your body around. Now let's just do the other hand. So I have the palm down on the left hand, which was the ending point of our last flip, but that's going to be now our starting point. And then palm up on the right hand. We're going to flip it just over the top of the hand like we did before, rotate it around. And so that's going to be the idea. And then I can rotate it basically around the other way, just doing the opposite for the left hand. So there it is again, flipping it over the top and then flipping it back the other way. Boom. So that's going to be the idea there. Now I can do it just flipping it over and letting it go and then catching it on the other side. As I'm doing that, I'm just trying to get a feel for it so that when I catch it, I'm in that nice, basically 3/4 grip every time it flips to one side versus the other side. So now you can do it without basically the other hand stopping it. It's going to feel a little bit weird, to do that for a while, and then you can stop it. It doesn't take much force with a stick this size to just tap it as it's coming around to stop the rotation and put it back the other way. All right, so now we're gonna grab it again, same kind of grip. Now we're grabbing once again right hand face down, left hand with the palm up, and we're going the same rotation here. Tip on the other side, same rotation, but now I'm going to the other hand. So now we're just doing the second bit of the exercise. I'm going back to rotate over the right hand. Notice now I have the reverse grip, which is the second thing we did. And now I'm just going to go back and forth, rotating over the right hand and then rotating over the left. So now I'm going to instead of rotating, in other words, back this way over the back of my hand going this way, I'm going to now switch hands over here, just going back and forth, rotating over the back of the hand and then over the back of the hand, right? So we're going to rotate back over the left. Now I have the switch grip again, back to what I started with, and I'm going to rotate back over the right. So instead of switching it back this way under the left hand, it's going to go back over the right hand, back over the right. So now we're just going to go back over the left. So we're just going back and forth, alternating the hands. Now this is one you can get kind of a groove just doing this. This is kind of fun to do in and of itself. You can basically do it pretty fast, and you can kind of swing your body around a little bit differently. As you can see, as you're doing this here, you can extend how far you go when you pull it one way or the other. I'm going to see how I'm overemphasizing. Now I'm catching it way up top. So I'm letting the back end of it go way up here before, as opposed to stopping the rotation down here. I'm letting it go way up high. So it's given so all of these little variants, once we start putting them together, it's again kind of like I say, like a drummer or something that just has a few beats. They're not really playing with different tonalities per se. They're just switching up little, the patterns are just switching. So once we have just a few things. That's all it really takes is a few little tweaks, little tricks, little differences in the pattern, and we can drastically change our, the pattern from place to place, which can be kind of fun, again, just to do. You could just say, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I'm just going to switch and be a little bit more extreme on one end, or I'm going to move. All right, so now we're going to do the next thing, which is we went over the wrist. Now I want to have it over the wrist at my side, on this side. This will help us when I flip it, and eventually I'll flip it this way so that I flip it like a juggling pin. But instead of, and we won't do that this time, we'll do that in a following presentation, but this is going to be the lead into that. Instead of flipping a juggling pin by just, as you normally would, you can imagine just taking the handle and flipping it upwards. Instead of that, we're going to do this little flip around the back of our hands, which leads to the torque between that 3/4 grip between your thumb and your palm. So we'll do so, and that's useful to do on the side here, because then you can basically flip it at your side and possibly catch it behind your back, which we'll do in future. See, so now I can flip it like this, right? It's just the same thing. I'm just flipping it at my side instead of in front. So that'll also allow us to do the same kind of side-to-side motion we did before, but instead of doing the little thumb spin around thing, we can rotate it around the back of our hand as we alternate from side to side, which again we'll do in a future presentation. So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm kind of doing the same flip, but at my side, and then I'm reaching way over here instead of it being in front of me facing towards the camera to stop the flip. So there it is on the side view. Same thing. I'm just reaching over to stop the flip and go back the other way. Then we can do same thing. So notice this, as I do it on the side here, it gives me a little bit different groove, a different shuffle. So here I am on the front with the left hand. We'll just do the same thing. So now I'm just going to bring it over to the side. So that means I have to flip it over my wrist, even though my hand is orientated kind of at my side. So we're just flipping it kind of at the side of our body, which means that the orientation is kind of more vertical orientated over here. And then again, I can reach over with my other hand and stop it as it's flipping up, which is more of a reach because I'm reaching all the way across my body instead of having it kind of in front of me here. Here's a side view. Same idea of that. So that's going to be the idea. Now, of course, once we do those side to side, we can go that back and forth from side to side. So now I'm just doing the same thing back on the other side, but now I'm going to wrap it up. So this is one more variant. Notice we stopped it around here. What if I let the back of the stick go all the way around over my head? Don't hit yourself in the face, which you'll probably do from time to time. I got my glasses on, so I'm okay. It's missing a lens, but I don't need that lens anyway. So, and then it's going to go over my shoulder. So that gives me a little bit different of a pause if I was to do this back and forth, and I'm going back and forth, and then I wanted to switch the rhythm a little bit, switch the rhythm up. Then I can let it go over my shoulder like that and get a little bit different of a rhythm just to switch things up. So I'm going back out. So I'm do the same rotation, but instead of stopping it right there, basically, I'm rotating it all the way around so that this passes over my shoulder. And then the natural thing your arm will do is to come up to here, and then I'm just stopping it with my other hand here. So all the way back down, same pattern up top, boom. So here's the side view. So we'll bring it back down the same way, bring it up, and then instead of stopping it right there, I bring it over my shoulder to bring it back, and then I can bring this hand to stop it, although you don't need to, that's just something there because it's going to stop naturally anyways, because that's as far as your arm could go. Unless you hyperextend it somehow or something. Don't do that. That would be bad. So you get just a little bit more variant, a longer spin time. So here it is on the other side again. So on the other side, so now we're just doing it with the left. So same thing we were doing before, but now I'm going to bring it across and over. So same thing. Instead of stopping it here, right? See how my wrist is all the way back? Instead of stopping it there, I'm bringing it all the way back and then over the shoulder, and then I have to stop there. That's as far as I can go, right? And then bring it back down. I've locked myself in place once it's to there. That's as far as I can go. I could bring this hand up, but that's basically it. So there's going to be the full extension, and it gives you that natural pause all the way at the top towards that shoulder. So that's going to be the general idea, and then next time we'll put some of those together and into a, you can, now that we've coupled some of these, a couple side to side motions and then the over the back of the hand, if you then just switch some of those together, you put them together in like a routine, or you don't even think about a routine. You just say, like, I'm doing this, I'm bored of this, so I'm going to switch up the routine a little bit and add one of these other techniques within it, and then you're just going to switch them from time to time. This is a general idea, just to get a good flow going. And once you know each of these items, then you just spend more time on the thing you know until you get bored at it, and then you go back to the thing you know, or spend some time on the thing you don't know, I should say, as well. And then when you get bored of it, you just go back and flow back into the thing you do know, just so you get back in the flow, and then again repeat the cycle, right? Then go back into what you don't know as well until you drop the stick and hit yourself in the face enough that you get annoyed, and then you go back to the flow, back to the thing that you do know.